Good morning and welcome to the video from sunny North Carolina, from Charlotte. Y'all already know. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know. As soon as I start filming, the birds were chirping. Now everybody wants to just ride through. Anywho, if you hear airplanes or cars, I'm outside because I just want to sit outside. But anyways, you clicked on this video because of the title, and this is not clickbait. This is a real live big life update for me, and that is that I quit my job as a flight attendant after 10 years. Now, if you have been in the industry, you know that's unusual. People don't normally quit after 10 years. They normally, if they're gonna quit, it's within the first 5 years. But I would have fully completed my 10th year this year in August and been headed into the 11th year, which would have put me about 2 years from top out pay. And so it's really unusual now to quit and to leave when I'm right there at what is supposed to be the best years of this job, when you're at top out pay, when you have about 13 years seniority. You're supposed to be living that life. But at 10 years, I will admit, I thought that I was going to be living that life. I remember my first year looking at the girls who have been there for 10 years and thinking, oh, when I get to that stage, I'm going to be financially stable. I'm going to have any trip I want. Like, the seniority is going to be senioring, you feel me? But things have turned out a little different than I thought they would. And today I wanted to let you guys know that I quit, talk a little bit about why and what's next for me. So I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try not to ramble, but get your teacups. There are about 3 main reasons why I quit, and that is work-life balance, the pay, and most importantly, I no longer saw this job as a career. I just saw it as a job, and my heart's desire is to have a career, not just a job, not just somewhere where I go to make money and come home. We spend so much time at our jobs working, and sometimes a majority of where we spend our day, and my heart's desire is for my job, my career, to be something that brings me joy and purpose and stimulates my mind. And being a flight attendant hasn't been doing that for me for years. There's no more growth to be had in the company, in the job for me. I feel like I've taken everything that I can possibly take from it. I've learned everything I can learn. And it's just, it kind of reminds me of, like, if you've been following the vlogs, remember I was in like my garden girly era during the pandemic, and I remember I would have some plants that I just didn't know how to take very good care of, and they would be sitting in the pot, and they wouldn't be dead, but they wouldn't be growing either. They'd be alive, but they would never ever grow. And I've been feeling like that for about 4 years, that I'm just there and I'm not growing and I'm not learning anything new, and it just really has been bothering me, and just really, it's been soul crushing. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been absolutely soul crushing to be spending so much time doing something where I'm not growing as a person or becoming any smarter from it. I do so many things outside of flying that help me grow. I'm always reading. At any given moment, I'm reading at least 2 books. I've been in my learning how to cook bag. As you guys know, for the last 5 years, I've been deep into my fitness bag, running, cycling. I learned how to swim a couple years ago, just like pouring so much into myself. And one of my main issues with being a flight attendant in the last 4 to 5 years is that the job has just taken and taken and taken. It takes and takes and takes, but it doesn't give hardly anything back. And that has been a huge issue for me personally, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So just a brief summary of my background before we talk about work-life balance, which is what I want to talk about first. Like I said, I've been a flight attendant since 2015, was based in Newark for 7 years, was based in DC, the best base in the world, IAD, for 6 months, and then I was based in Denver, Colorado for the last 2 years. I've been doing this for a long periodically time, and I've seen the way things have changed over the last decade. And I will say, when I started the job, I had nothing. I had just graduated college and moved back to my hometown, and I was looking for a job. I couldn't find a job with my degree, and so someone suggested, hey, you should go be a flight attendant, and so I did. And within like 2 weeks of applying for the job, I had the job. It was like boom, boom, boom. It was so quick, and I just dove straight in. I adapted to every single crazy situation that I found myself in. It's been a wild ride. I went from my first crash pad was in a motel, the Swan Motel. Shout out to the Swan Motel in, I think, Elizabeth, New Jersey, and that's where I lived my first month. Fast forward to a year later, I moved into an apartment with my roommate and we lived together for 7 years. Fast forward to year 8 when I was finally able to be in a place financially where I could afford to get my own place, and that was in Denver. And yeah, it's just been a roller coaster. One thing about this job, I've made a lot of sacrifices, as a lot of flight attendants do, to be in this industry and to be in this job and to make it work. A lot of sacrifices have been made, and one thing that a lot of people don't know about is all the sacrifices you do make as a flight attendant. I sacrificed independence in my 20s to be able to live on my own throughout my whole 20s, because I was saving money and I accepted the fact that I wasn't going to make a lot as a flight attendant my first 5 years, and it took me until my 8th year to be able to afford to get my own place on my own comfortably. And by comfortably, I mean comfortably with air quotes. So there was that. There was selling my car the first year and taking the bus to work to save money, because I was making like $24,000 a year my first year and I couldn't afford to have a car. But it was okay. I took the bus. I learned to appreciate taking the bus because it was $1.60, period. And that thing got me to and from, okay, period. It was great, and it saved me so much money. And you know, thinking back to those times, I'm never going to forget it. Ironically enough, the work-life balance, you would think that it would be worse in the beginning when you have less money, but it's actually been worse in the end. Inflation has played a big role in making the work-life balance situation kind of unbearable, but also the way that things have changed within the industry have contributed equally, if not more, to that. Duty days have been more and more consistently stretched to their maximum legal limit, and the layovers have been shrunk more and more to their legal minimum. And that just contributes to, you're already so fatigued just from working on the airplane. I said this a little bit in the last video, but I'm sure that most of you watching this have been on a plane at least once and have traveled somewhere at least one time. You know that after traveling you feel tired, and you don't feel quite as energized as you normally would. Now imagine that being your job. If your job is to travel on a plane for work, imagine how just fatiguing and exhausting that is. It seeps into your bones. It just makes you so tired. And I found myself on my off days just recovering from being at work instead of working on the things that I'm passionate about, instead of exercising, reading my books, or just spending time with my family and my friends. I was locking myself in my room and trying to sleep, and they're tired and grumpy like the Grinch, and put my phone on do not disturb, not wanting to talk to anybody because I'm so exhausted. And that's not like me. It's not like me at all to not want to talk to people because I'm so drained from work. But that's how it's been for the last, I would say, 4 years, just because, like I said, the max duty days, the minimum layovers, and inflation causing me to have to work a lot more hours than I ever had to work the first 5 years. The first 5 years, I hardly ever worked more than 80 hours a month. And by worked, of course, you know, I mean flew. I think most people know this now. Flight attendants get paid only for the flight hours, not for the entire time they're working. So if my duty day is 13 hours, I'm probably only getting paid at the max for maybe 8 hours of that duty day. The rest of the time could be sits, delays, boarding, deplaning. You don't get paid from the time that you scan your badge and clock in. You only get paid for the flight hours. So if there's any delays, if during deplaning you're waiting 30 minutes to an hour for wheelchair assistance for a passenger, you're not getting paid during that time. There have been a few times where I've been stuck at the airport for over 8 hours with a rolling delay and only gotten paid for like 3 hours of that day. So imagine working for 15 hours. If you leave, you get in trouble, right? Because you're working, you're on the clock. But you work for 15 hours and you only get paid for 3 hours. Imagine that. That is the life of flight attendants sometimes. And it doesn't happen rarely. It doesn't happen every now and then. It happens often. It happens often. I can't stress that enough. Delays happen more often than not, I would say, and usually not that long, but it just adds up. Like I said in the last video, I showed you guys about my trip for that video that I worked 40 hours, but I only got paid for about 24 hours. So with this trip, I'm on duty. I'm working 40 hours and 36 minutes for this 4-day trip, but I'm only getting paid for 24 hours and 30 minutes. So that's just a little over half of the hours that I'm working working, I'm getting paid for. So take that information and do with it what you will. Even 10 years in, I'm still having to work so many hours just to get by and to have some extra money. So after this 4 days of this trip, I'll have already worked a normal person's full work week, 40 hours, but I've only gotten paid as if I worked part-time. So now I have to work another trip right after this trip to make up for the hours that I didn't get paid for. So a big thing that is bothersome about this job is that you work overtime hours for part-time pay. I'm hoping that that changes for the flight attendants coming up and for the flight attendants still there, because flight attendants should be paid for every single hour that they're on the clock. If I can get in trouble for leaving, that means that I'm working. And I think if more people knew how many hours they would be working for free, they would think twice about even accepting this job. That goes back to the work-life balance. You have, because you're only getting paid part-time pay for overtime hours, you're having to pick up extra trips to get more flight hours so that you can actually get paid like a normal person. Otherwise, you're not really making a ton of money, especially nowadays with inflation. The flight attendants at the airline that I used to work at are still waiting for an update to their contract, and so their pay doesn't reflect the inflation that's going on in this country right now, and it makes it really hard to have work-life balance because you're having to work so many hours just to pay for the same things that you were paying for 5 years ago. That's a big issue for me, but it's not the main issue. I will say that the pay isn't the main issue, because even if I was getting paid, say, as much as a pilot, I still wouldn't do it anymore, just because my heart truly isn't in it anymore. A lot of people, if you ask them if they like their job, they'll say, yeah, it's easy. It's easy. I like it because it's easy. And I honestly disagree with that. I don't think the job is easy, but a lot of people will describe it using that word, that it's easy. Like I said, I disagree with that, but it's not my heart's desire to have a job that's easy. It's my heart's desire to have a job that stimulates my mind, where I'm learning and growing. Like I said, I want to be growing and learning in everything that I do, And that's why I'm always taking it upon myself to educate myself about many, many different things. And if I'm going to be spending all this time at a job, I need it to be stimulating my mind. And I feel like I have not learned anything new at this job in 4 years at least. I know how to do the job inside and out. Now, don't put me in the back galley on international flight, but if I had to do it, I could do it. Again, this is just my personal experience. I just felt like I was going to work and I wasn't really using my brain anymore. And I'm not saying flight attendants don't use their brains. I'm just saying, for me, the job wasn't making me any smarter, and that was really bothering me a lot. Now, I will say I've been doing it for so long that, of course, once you've been doing something for such a long time, you kind of go through the motions. Do I hear a bee? You kind of start to go through the motions and get used to everything, and that's great, but I'm striving for something bigger. I'm striving for more growth in my life, and I realized that this is not for me a career, as in something I plan on doing for the next 20 years. This for me was a long chapter in my life, and the girl I went in at the age of 24 is not the same as the woman I am now at the age of 33. I mean, 24-year-old Lex would never, ever believe the person I am today. I have so much more confidence than I ever thought I could have. I realized that I can be a leader. I learned how to stand up for myself. I learned how to say what I need to say, backbone straight, 10 toes down. I've had the privilege of flying with some of the most incredible people I've ever met. And every single person that I've met, whether it felt good in the moment or felt bad in the moment, has all come together for my good in the end. And something truly unique and special about this job is that you get to work with people of all ages, and you're equals, so you can talk to each other. And it's been such a privilege to have access to people who are older than me and be able to have conversations with them and pick their brain and kind of soak in some of their wisdom about just life and the job and everything. I used to be scared of old people before this job. Now I'm like, who is the oldest person in the room? That's who I need to talk to, because they know the real tea. And it's been the girls who know the one thing that I will miss about being a flight attendant is the flight attendants. That's the number one thing. That's the only thing I'm gonna miss. I'm really grateful for the growth that I've been able to experience and the conversations I've been able to have with so many different people. And even though it didn't end the way I thought it would, I would not change anything about how this journey has unfolded. And I know that that the way I've been feeling in the last few years has just been to help push me to another level. When things are bad, sometimes it's to push you to seek more and to grow more. And I just knew that now was the time to take another leap of faith, man. And every time, I'll tell you one thing, every time I've taken a leap of faith in life, it has paid off so much more than I ever thought it could. And I have a big imagination, and it always pays off more than I could have imagined. So let's see, did I talk about everything I wanted to talk about? There's so much more I could say, but I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to be messy. I just wanted to tell you guys, I'm looking on my phone to see what I wrote down. Okay, we talked about work-life balance, money, and growth. Those are the main things. Yeah, those are the main things that led to this decision to quit and to, yes, find something else. Y'all know you got to have a job, and I do have something else coming around the corner. This year is all about starting a new chapter, and I honestly feel like it's a new chapter, but it's also a new book. Like, it's giving volume 2 to me. Like, I feel like when I turned in my badge, I just closed a huge book of my life, and we're starting volume 2. It's definitely giving that. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys that update. I hope that I explained that well enough. I've been trying not to ramble, but also just kind of explain where my head is at, what's going on. I think that some people will be surprised, but I think that a lot of people won't be surprised by this news. I think some of you guys have seen this coming for a while, and I will say that for the last 4 years since I have been feeling this way, I've really been making it a point to share other parts of my life with you guys besides flying. And when I do talk about flying, to make it in a way that it can help somebody and not just like, oh,
here's my job, like, let's go on a trip and talk about how great everything is.
Like, I've really been trying to talk about things that can help somebody who's thinking about doing the job, or who's already in the job, or who, I don't know, just likes aviation. Like, I've been trying to answer more questions than to just point the camera at my face and take you guys on a vlog to talk about the job and to make it look glamorous. But I've been doing my best to keep it as real with y'all as I possibly can. There's a lot I was not able to say just because I was still working there, and I know the social media team watches my videos, so there's a lot that I couldn't say, and there's a lot that I still won't say. I mean, the girls who know it's not my job to get on here, like I said, and bash anybody. I truly hope that the flight attendants get all of their things that they deserve. I have worked a lot of jobs before this one. This has been the longest I've ever worked somewhere, but I've been working since I was 15, and what I will say is good workers are hard to find. People with integrity in the workplace are just 1 in a million, and I have never ever seen a work group as a whole with so much integrity and pride in what they do than the flight attendant work group. Flight attendants are real. Like, there's some real ones. They love what they do. They have so much integrity and pride as a whole, like so many people, and they deserve all of their things. They deserve every last coin. I pray that they get all the coins, all the rest that they deserve in this world. And I'm rooting for y'all. I'm rooting for y'all from here to the very, very end. And I do want to say that, but I'll try to keep it real and not glamorize the job. Please be wary of the girls out here glamorizing the job. A lot of people just don't keep it real. I will say that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna call anybody out. You don't need to buy anyone's $17 course to learn how to be a flight attendant. You don't need to go to anybody's flight attendant academy to be a flight attendant. You apply for the job, you interview, and if you get the job, they will teach you how to do the job. You don't need to pay any scammer to give you a leg up on becoming a flight attendant. Get away from me. This bee is nosy. Y'all, one thing about me, I'm not scared of bees. We can go toe to toe. If you haven't watched my last video, 4 things that I wish I knew before I became a flight attendant, make sure you go check that out. If you are older and you want to be a flight attendant as a second career, I would say that is the best group of people who could ever be flight attendants, because the job is best when you aren't financially dependent on the money. I will say that the money it's not good, and a lot of people say, oh well, we don't do the job for the money. Okay. I think that even if you love your job, you still need money. You still need to pay your bills, and flight attendants still need to be paid for all their hours. So I really don't like to hear that, people saying that they don't do the job for the money. I do understand it. I don't do this for the money. YouTube, I don't make hardly anything on YouTube, but I love it with all my heart. And if I loved being a flight attendant, I would continue to fight and wait and hold out for what I know is coming, which is more money and rest and better work rules. I would stay and fight if I loved it, but for me, I don't love it. I don't even like it anymore. So that's just my truth. But if you love it, stay and fight, and I'm gonna be rooting for you, like I said. And that goes for anything. I care more about the love for what I do than the money. I will say that in everything that I do. That's just a point that I wanted to hit on in this video. But I'm not discouraging anybody from getting the job. I just think that a lot of people glamorize the job and they think it's the end all be all, and people just really hope and pray and cry to get this job, and it's not as glamorous as some people make it seem. So proceed with caution, as you would with anything. You really don't know until you know with anything. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you are a flight attendant, how do you feel about it? What do you think about the state of the industry right now as it pertains to flight attendants? Do you still like your job after all this time? If you've been there for a long time, if you've been there for a year or two or a few months, do you like it? What do you think about how things are now? And if you are someone who's thinking about the job, how does this make you feel? Did you see this coming or did you not see it coming? I also want to know that down in the comment section down below. Keep your post notifications turned on. There's going to be a lot of life updates coming this year for me. Can't wait to share with you guys what's next. So that'll be coming soon. So keep your notifications turned on. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. And if you enjoyed the video, you already know exactly what to do. Okay? So just do it. Like I always say, make sure you take good care of you. Once you take care of yourself, every single thing else falls into place. Find people, things, places that fill your cup all the way up, and don't allow yourself to be drained all the way to the bottom. We're not doing that in 2025 and moving forward. Fill your own cup first, and everything else will fall into place. So with that being said, I will see you guys very soon with another video. Y'all take good care of yourselves. Bye.